Welcome back, Rock Raiders. I'm your host, R.R. Slugger, and today we're taking a look at our favorite theme without its signature color. I've wanted to do this for a while, as the Rock Raiders color distribution has always fascinated me. Plus, I have a couple more non-production parts I'd like to show off here, so let's dive right in. One interpretation of the colors found within Rock Raiders that I quite like is that some of them might represent paint that is worn off from wear and tear. The grays, browns, and blacks evoke the metal components showing through, whereas the yellows and teals are flaking remnants of previous paint jobs. This really lends itself well to the lived-in atmosphere Rock Raiders is so well known for, especially compared to its flashier younger sibling. Perhaps at one point in time, the Rock Raiders equipment looked more like this. Or like this. It's not winning any points for aesthetics, but I think it's interesting to ponder. We even see some credence given to this idea within a few of the alternate builds from the retail sets. Likewise, I've often thought about re-envisioning Power Miners sets to feature a color distribution pattern similar to that of Rock Raiders. With translating dark turquoise to lime green and yellow to orange, we arrive at a version of Power Miners quite different from where we started. Granted, the myriad of curved elements derogate the weathered angular look of Rock Raiders. Nonetheless, I'm fascinated by the results. Following this train of thought to my next musing, I contemplated what Rock Raiders vehicles might look like stripped of their paint entirely. That is, what fresh gray, brown, or black elements would be visible once the teal and yellow paint apps were scraped away. Here's what I was able to come up with. This granite grinder sure feels a bit more naked without its color. With that being said, I think the results are quite interesting. The dark gray, light gray, and black elements pair together exceptionally well, as was expected. I think what surprised me the most was how cohesive retaining brown turned out to be, especially given that there was only a single piece of this color in the original model. As you can see here though, I added a couple more parts to replace our dark turquoise turbines. This brings us to some rather notable elements, and they're right under our nose. Both of these rear turbines were never released in this color, and I was lucky enough to pick them up from the same seller who provided Chief's platform to me in a previous video. I think they really tie the model together, and even though light gray options could have worked here, I think the brown is far more striking and helps to legitimize the roll cage. Sadly, the model isn't perfect. I had to make some concessions in a few places. While I was able to remove the caution stripe paint apps from the legs, this particular piece was never released in this color without printing. Barring some heretical methods, this is the best I could do. The other element I had to concede on was the computer console inside the cockpit. While having a gray slope brick with this print design on it would be a godsend for another Rock Raiders model, it unfortunately doesn't exist in the wild. I could have swapped it out for a different computer pattern, but that somehow felt less authentic to me. Overall though, I think I did a fairly good job finding a fitting use for these rare non-production parts. Recoloring Rock Raiders can be a real chore, and it's primarily because of these two pieces. Both the cockpit and its corresponding roll cage appeared exclusively in these iterations, meaning that any recolors of the large vehicles have to retain brown and dark gray in their new palettes. I think this is the main reason we see so many sets recolored into Rock Raider hues and not the other way around. I will add though that the buildings are fairly easy to work with, given the greater genericism of their pieces. There are certainly other parts within this theme that dictate the colors you can use, but truly creative builders may be able to find a workaround. If you're one such builder, I'd love to see what you can come up with. Hopefully you've enjoyed this little excursion. I had a lot of fun playing around with these colors, and maybe I've inspired you to do the same. I've been your host, R.R. Slugger, and I'll see you next time for some more high adventure, deep underground.